Hey folks. So today we're going to talk about a variety of things that don't necessarily seem connected, but we find out are. We're going to be talking about the land down under, Australia. We're going to talk about some real R-rated cooking recipes. We're going to talk about having children with multiple men who all seem to have the same name. And we're going to answer the question, is it weird to have a meat hook in your home? All this and more. No, we're not talking about Crocodile Dundee. Maybe talking a little bit about Mr. In-Between. Today, we are going to be going over the crazy life of Katherine Mary Knight. I'm John.
And I'm Kat.
And this is Castagast.
You know, that was my favorite intro yet.
We literally don't do the intros till after we're done this the fucking goddamn podcast. But all right. You know, that's fine with me.
Way to just blow our cover.
Shit.
My God.
So, folks, we got married this weekend.
And I've been questioning that decision ever since.
Yeah.
Especially when you just spill our secrets like that.
So, for our honeymoon, we thought we'd talk about someone's fucking tragedy.
Yes, while we drink out of Mr. and Mrs. wine glasses.
Stemless, because why have your wine cold?
Yes, maybe you won't break these.
Cheers. It sounds a bit plasticky, doesn't it? That was good. What's the alcohol content on this stuff? Is it 14?
It's a mystery because we get our wine made, but it's a mystery. They don't state the alcohol content in the wines.
I can't imagine a serial killer as a wine drinker. Can you?
What about Hannibal Lecter?
But that's fictional. He's fictional.
And I don't think he's serial.
Oh, I think he's a serial killer.
Would you say serial?
What's the definition of a serial killer?
Well, there's serial killers. There's mass killers.
He's not a mass killer.
No. But, no, you're right. Maybe he was a serial killer. Yeah.
I just can't think, and you know true crime better than I do, but I just can't think of a serial killer or any killer who was like a gentleman.
What about we covered the Rottenberg cannibal? I'm sure he was a wine drinker. I mean, he cooked with it. Remember he prepared the penis in wine and garlic?
Maybe.
So I think we just debunked your stupid thought.
Well,
there.
You still don't have any fucking evidence. You know he cooks with wine, and wine you cook with is usually shit.
So for research for our next episode will be a list of wine drinking murderers.
I just want to know what all these murderers eat and drink, and I wanted to know if they fold their toilet paper or if they crumple it up in their fingers. And how many knuckles deep do they go? I feel like a killer lets their ass crack itch.
And that's why they're so angry.
Yeah.
And do they have, when they change the toilet paper roll, or if they even don't, if they're a true psychopath and they just put the new roll like on the counter and just leave the empty roll on the holder, those are the true psychopaths.
Yeah.
In the world today.
Yeah. Or if they're female, if they flush their tampons.
Yes.
And contribute to our ever-growing carbon footprint.
Yes, that's true. Though most will flush the tampons.
Actually, you know what's funny is we had a flood at my work, and what was incredible is the drains were backing up, so we had to get a fucking plumber in to snake the drains. And as he was pulling out the snake, he fucking got it to drain. He pulls it out, and like Christmas garland was a metal snake hanging on the metal snake. Was fucking tampons. Lights.
How do they clean that off?
With gloves.
Oh my, that's horrendous.
And courage, I would imagine.
Well, I hate to cut this conversation short, but we do have a bit of a longer case today.
Oh, okay.
So we will get right to it if you're all right with that.
Jeez.
All right. So today's story, we'll be talking about Katherine Mary Knight.
Mary Knight.
Yeah.
Is it Knight as in night or night as in night?
It's Knight as in Knight.
Perfect.
So she was born October 25th, 1955 in Tenterfield, New South Wales, Australia.
Okay, so a boomer serial killer.
Yes. Her mother, Barbara Ruffin, was married to Jack Ruffin, and they lived together in Aberdeen, South Wales. However, Barbara began having an affair with a man named Ken Knight, a co-worker and a friend of Jack's. This affair did cause quite the stir, as both the Ruffins and the Knights were well known in Aberdeen. Barbara left Jack and moved with Ken to Moree. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Moree. Barbara and Jack had 4 sons together, though they all stayed back. They did not go with Barbara. The 2 oldest remained with Jack, and the 2 youngest went to live with an aunt in Sydney.
Or as they would say, aunt.
An auntie. Barbara and Ken had 4 children together, 2 being a set of twins born in 1955, and one of these twins was Katherine Knight.
Katherine Knight.
Sadly, though, Knight grew up in a very unhealthy and dysfunctional environment. Ken was an alcoholic and was frequently violent, especially towards Barbara, Katherine's mother. He would rape Barbara up to 10 times a day.
Jesus, who has the fucking vigor?
Like, talk about...
Ethics aside and not being a complete fucking psychopath, who has the fucking energy?
I know.
To do anything? I wouldn't have the energy to
I
jerk
don't
off
know.
10 times a day.
That's a lot of stamina. Yeah.
That's great. What the fuck is he eating all day? Just oysters? Oysters all day long.
Oysters
And crazy
chocolate.
Chinese fucking aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready to fuck again.
I don't know how he did it. So yeah, unfortunately, she would get raped up to 10 times a day. And in turn, this led Barbara to overshare her sex life with Ken to her daughters and reveal details of her hatred towards men and sex, which to me, this might come back, but throughout the story, but I find this very interesting, and I'll save it for a last thought at the end. Just don't let me forget.
Like she's trying to warn her daughters.
We'll get to it at the end. You let me know what you think of, keep that line in your mind, and then by the end of the story, let me know what you think.
All right.
So Katherine Knight has made claims that she was frequently sexually abused by multiple family members, which continued until she was 11. Though none of these family members were ever her father, Ken. So despite what Ken did to her mother, he never did to her. In high school, Katherine was known to be a bully and would stand over smaller children just to intimidate them. She did assault one boy with a weapon and was also injured by a teacher who was acting in self-defense.
Oh, really? Like she attacked a teacher, and the teacher was like, "No, I'm an adult."
Yes. And I believe it, I do believe it was a male teacher.
Oh, fuck.
So Katherine would experience uncontrollable murderous rages in response to very minor things. So the littlest thing would set her off. But when not in these fits, she was described by her school as a pleasant girl who was a model student. She would receive awards when she displayed good behavior. But despite this, Katherine left school at the age of 15 and never learned how to read or write.
But she left school by 15. Mm-hmm. But at that point, she's still... What, is she still in the fucking 3rd grade at 15?
Yeah, I don't know. So she started working in a clothing factory as a cutter. A year after that, she found, as she put it, her dream job, cutting up offal at an abattoir.
What's offal?
I believe it's like a buffalo or like some sort of cow or something like that.
Oh, it's a dingo.
I could be completely wrong, and
it's a wallaby.
People are gonna come at me for this. Anyways, she was the cutter at an abattoir.
Abattoir.
Potato.
Right.
She was promoted pretty quickly to boning and received her own set of butcher knives, which she hung over her bed so they would, quote, always be handy if she needed them, end quote.
Hung them over her bed.
Yeah.
That's creepy as shit.
She continued to do this everywhere she lived until she was incarcerated. You know, because prisons usually frown upon hanging butcher knives above their bunk beds.
Did she like get a few shivs while she was inside,
Maybe,
hang
yeah.
those over her bed?
Yeah, like a little, what are those, like a little baby mobile?
Yeah.
Just of little knives.
Oh my God.
So in 1973 at the abattoir, Katherine met David Kellett, a co-worker of hers who became friends with Katherine's brother. Unfortunately, David had a drinking problem as a coping mechanism for a few traumatic experiences he had had. One from witnessing his best friend getting killed in a shunning accident.
A shunning?
And the other when he rescued children from a school bus that had been struck by a train, killing 6 children. David and Katherine married in 1974. The marriage was her request.
Did someone tell him that you don't have to accept all requests?
The pair arrived to their service on a motorcycle, which now makes me feel like we did it completely wrong, showing up in a car.
We didn't even show up in a car. We showed up in a Hyundai.
So they showed up to their own service in a motorcycle, and David was extremely intoxicated. This was when Katherine's mother, Barbara, offered David some wonderful motherly advice for her new son-in-law.
Do tell.
She said, quote, "You better watch out for this one, or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way, or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her." Cheating on her, she meant. "She'll fucking kill you." End quote.
Wow.
And that was her own mother talking. You know, like that was...
Red flags,
Yes.
everyone. You're like draped in the red flag at
Yes.
this point.
She told me she's got something loose. She's got a screw loose somewhere, continued the mother.
Like she's got panels of screws all fucking
Yeah,
gone.
no kidding.
And a few nails too. I don't know hardware, but you like...
It didn't take long for the honeymoon stage to end, if there ever was one, as Katherine attempted to strangle David on their wedding night. She was upset that he fell asleep after having intercourse only 3 times.
What?
Yeah. So they had intercourse 3 times and he dozed off, rightfully so, and that upset her, so she attempted to strangle him.
Dude, how many times did she come during these 3 intercourse? Did he come more than once? Like,
I don't know.
are Australians just like superheroes? Like, you look at Chris Hemsworth and you're like, all right, that guy can come at
Yes.
least 6 times and... Oh, something about the tides. Give me a lot of vigor.
It's all the Vegemite that they eat.
The Vegemite. Gross.
So her violent behavior continued throughout their marriage. One particular occasion, a pregnant Katherine burned David's clothing and shoes and hit him across the head with a frying pan because he came home late from a dart competition, which he reached the finals in.
A dart?
Yeah.
So he's that kind of guy.
And he reached the finals. Like, I just feel so bad for him. He was probably so happy that he made it to the finals, comes home, and then gets hit in the head with a frying pan.
When was this? Like in the 70s?
Yeah. So this is in the 70s.
See, problems that are solved by cell phones.
So David did flee from the attack, but collapsed at the neighbor's house with a severely fractured skull.
Jesus.
The police did want to press charges. However, Katherine was able to talk David out of it. Katherine and David had a daughter together in 1976, but shortly after her birth, David left Katherine for another woman, and he moved out to Queensland, no longer being able to put up with the abuse.
No shit.
Katherine then had several episodes. The day after David left, she was seen pushing her baby stroller. So the day after David left, she was seen pushing her baby stroller down the street and violently rocking it from side to side. She was admitted to the hospital and diagnosed with postpartum depression. She remained in the hospital for several weeks, receiving treatment and recovering. However, after being released, she placed her 2-month-old daughter on a railway track shortly before the train was due to come. After leaving the child on the tracks, she then stole an axe and began threatening strangers in town that she was going to kill them. Thankfully, however, a local vagrant known as Old Ted was...
Thank God for Old Ted.
He was nearby the train tracks foraging.
Foraging. He's playing Stardew Valley.
Thankfully, he found baby Melissa on the tracks.
Oh, I'm surprised she even had a name at this point.
So this was just... He found her minutes before the train passed. So it was very close
Holy
to
fuck.
being much worse. So Katherine was arrested for this and taken back to the hospital to only sign herself out the following day, which blows my mind that she even had the ability to do that. This is the 70s though, but I find it amazing that she was able to sign herself out the following day after tying her child to a train track.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I know. So just a few short days after that, Katherine abducted a woman. She slashed the woman's face with one of her handy kitchen knives, and she demanded that she drive Katherine to Queensland to find David. Thankfully, when stopped at a gas station, the woman was able to escape. But by the time police arrived to the station, Katherine had taken another boy hostage and was threatening him with a knife. So I went down a Googling rabbit hole trying to figure out this next part of the story. Could not get any closure, but this is all I could find, and I have so many questions about it. So when the police arrived to the gas station and she had taken that other boy hostage, the police used broomsticks to disarm her.
What? How do they equip their police officers?
I don't know.
Well, they were out of batons for a week.
Where these broomsticks came from.
Where's brooms attached to them?
Exactly.
Sweep devices.
Oh, I don't mean to laugh because it's absolutely terrible, but the broomsticks just...
Wait, what's terrible? Them disarming her with broomsticks?
Broomsticks.
That... Now, which end were they using?
I know. If it had the broom attached.
Like a straw end, or just like poking her with it. Meow, meow, down, girl, bad girl.
Getting poked.
Like attacking a cat.
So they use...
You can just picture it.
I know.
Like in their squad cars,
yeah.
They got like a broom where the shotgun normally is. All right, we're gonna have to take this up a notch. We got a psychopath woman with a goddamn knife.
You know, like, and the fact that maybe they bust out these brooms when the situation's really bad.
And they say things like, well, we're gonna clean up our act. We're gonna clean up this town.
Yeah, time to take out the trash. Like, I guess that doesn't really suit, but anyways, so they disarmed her with the broomsticks. She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital after that, and she admitted to the hospital staff that she was planning to kill the mechanic at the service station because he repaired David's car, which led him to be able to leave her.
Oh my God.
She then...
This is the last person you want to travel down the causal roadway, trying to find what led to what.
I know, like it's...
And then she wanted to kill that...
It's like the crazy red string board.
I want to kill that mechanic's wife for marrying him and forcing him to move to this area of Australia.
Open a mechanic shop.
And I want to murder the mother of the wife for having birthed her, and it just keeps going on and on and on.
Crazier. She then admitted that she planned to kill David and his mother upon her arrival to Queensland. So police did notify David of this incident, and he ended up leaving his girlfriend and moved back to Aberdeen to be with his mother and support Knight.
What?
I wonder if he did this because he was terrified for his mother's safety. Because they obviously said this was what was admitted to us. So I'm wondering if he did that as
like his mother-in-law?
No, it's his mother. So she said she was going to kill David and his mother.
Well, then pack her up and get her out of there.
But he also has the children, right? But anyways, she was released into the care of her mother-in-law. So the care of the woman that she had admitted to wanting to kill.
How do the police keep fucking this up? Who's making these decisions?
So
Is there a fucking politician coming up with this shit? What's going on here?
So she was released to the care of the mother-in-law as well as David, which I found, surprising. But they moved to Ipswich, a city west of Brisbane. While in Ipswich, she got a job at Dinmore Meatworks. In 1983, David and Katherine had another child named Natasha.
They had another. Stop fucking this crazy person.
However, in 1984, Katherine left David.
How mature.
So she first moved in with her parents, and then she rented her own apartment. The following year, she got injured at work. She injured her back, so she went on a disability pension. In 1986, Katherine met another David. This time, David Saunders. I'll call him Saunders just to avoid confusion because we have two Davids now. So we have David Kellett. Now we have David Saunders. Okay. So Saunders was a 38-year-old miner. A few months after, miner as in he was like he mined coal or...
I'm not an imbecile.
Not a miner as in...
No, you're doing that for the audience. You're not doing it for me.
Okay.
Like I'm sitting here thinking, 38-year-old. But like, when do they reach legal age? You know, when can people vote in Australia? Right? You're not 40, you can't vote.
You can edit out my bad joke.
No.
So a few months after dating, Saunders moved into Catherine's home with her two daughters. But he continued to keep his apartment. Katherine would fly off the handle in jealous rages with Saunders and would constantly throw him out of the house. He would go back to his own apartment, but then she would always go back to him, begging him to come back.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, hard to get just the tango of a crazy bunch of lovers.
Yeah, lovers quarrel.
Oh, idiots.
During one specific jealous outburst, she cut the throat of his... I'm just going to put a warning out there that you might not want to listen to the next 10 seconds.
Oh, I think we already know what's coming.
She cut the throat of his 2-month-old dingo puppy in front of him.
What?
Yeah.
In front of him?
Yes, 2-month-old puppy. She did this only to give example of what she would do to him if he ever had an affair. So it's not even like he had an affair and she got pissed off and did this horrendous thing that I won't bother repeating. But... this was just, if you do this, this is what will happen to you.
Jesus, what an asshole.
She then knocked him unconscious with a frying pan.
Well, he's not going to remember your lessons if you hit him in the head, you moron.
In 1988, the couple had a daughter together, which would be Catherine's third daughter.
What? How good is her pussy that people keep fucking this idiot?
Oh,
she is a goddamn psychopath.
Oh, my goodness.
You do not touch her. My goodness, that's what the brooms are for.
Yes, exactly.
Not with a 6-foot pole. Mm-hmm. I would mess with you.
So, having the child prompted Saunders to put a deposit down on a house for them all. Katherine is able to pay off the deposit with her workers' compensation that she received in 1989. So, Katherine had quite the knack for decorating.
What?
She decorated their home, their new family home, in horns, skulls, animal skins, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, pitchforks, rakes, and rusty animal traps.
Rusty.
All parts of the house was covered, including the ceilings.
Jesus, can you imagine? That would be like the kind of house that even Ed Gein would be like, this is a bit much.
I was going to say she was totally going for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre look there.
What is she, a Cenobite? Who fucking decorates like this?
And would you allow me to, I'm not saying would you allow me, but if I just started covering the ceilings in animal traps and rusty chains and pitchforks, I feel like you are within your right to say, no, this is our home. I have to draw the line somewhere. Because I sure as hell would not let you put fucking pitchforks and leather jackets up on the wall.
Wonder what compromise would look like. You know, we'll have a few scythes and nails and shit hanging on that corner, and then we'll have a potted plant in that corner.
Exactly.
You know, we'll have black, bloody wallpaper over here, and then we'll have a nice accent splash wall over here.
And some stained glass window.
Yeah.
So during an argument, Katherine hit Saunders in the face with an iron and then stabbed him in the stomach with a pair of scissors. He left after this incident and went back to his hometown of Scone. When he eventually returned, he found out that she had cut up all his clothes. Saunders ended up taking a long service leave and went into hiding.
Yeah, good idea. Too late, though.
Katherine did try searching for him, but no one would admit to his whereabouts.
Thank God.
He did return several months later to visit his daughter, but while there, he found out that Katherine had lied to the police, saying that she was afraid of Saunders, so she had a violent order against him. So now, let's fast forward to 1990. Katherine Knight was in a brief relationship with a former coworker, John Chillingworth.
Chillingworth.
What
a great name.
I know.
I'm John Chillingworth. Yeah, thank you. John Chillingworth. Welcome to Downton Abbey, John. You are the first footman. This is Mrs. Hughes. She will take you to get your livery. I believe we have one in your size.
That's perfect.
Mr. Chillingworth. And then they're all sitting around going, Chillingworth! May I have more wine? Wouldn't you prefer a brandy? No. Sorry, I went.
No,
that's not Australian.
No, but
John Chillingworth.
So John Chillingworth and Katherine had a child together, a son that they named.
Why do they keep having children?
They were.
Were there not condoms in Australia?
John and her were brief, so he might have had no knowledge of.
Still, though.
I know. So Katherine was having an affair and left John after 3 years to be with that man, John Price. So we now have David Kellett, David Saunders, John Chillingworth, and John Price. So she likes to
Oh my God.
She doesn't like too much change. So John Price is how he is his nickname. John Price.
Oh my God.
Was born April 4th, 1955.
Oh, so they're the same age. How fun.
He had 3 other children at the time of their affair, but he was not married. He had been divorced since 1988. He was described as, quote, a terrific bloke, end quote.
Jeez, what a compliment.
Liked by everyone. His youngest daughter remained with his wife, but the 2 other children were with him. Though Price was aware of Katherine's violent behavior and outbursts, that did not stop him from moving her into his home in 1995.
Wrong.
But his children liked her. He made great money working the local mines, and despite violent arguments, life was, as he put it, quote, a bunch of roses, end quote.
Roses have thorns.
Yes, very, very true. In 1998, Price and Katherine got into a fight over Price's refusal to marry her. Katherine's reaction to this was to videotape items that he had stolen from work and to send the tape to his boss. These items were out-of-date medical kits that he picked out of the company's garbage bin, but Price was still fired for this, even though he'd been with his company for 17 years. Price came home that day and kicked Katherine out of the house.
I hope he literally kicked her out.
I hope so too.
Like right in the ass.
A short time later, just a few months, Price and Katherine rekindled their relationship.
What is wrong with the... What the fuck? Does she prey on imbeciles?
But he refused to allow her back in. So they got back together, but did not move back in together. So their fighting became even more frequent to the point that his friends no longer wanted anything to do with John while he remained with Katherine.
No shit. Not inviting her over for Scrabble night.
So, no kidding. People who get angry during board games are just the worst.
Named Cat. Honestly. Would the person you're describing is the person I saw yesterday while you lost a 3rd game of Carcassonne.
One can only lose so many times in a row. And he cheated.
You're just like sitting there. You fucked me when you put that goddamn monastery there. You see where this road leads? The road leads to hell.
You led that road to screw me for the other tile because there's no way I could match up that road. Anyways,
Sweetie,
I digress.
Don't hate the play. I hate the game. Right?
So, all right. Now let's get back to the podcast.
That was an awful accent.
No, that was good. 2 years later, in February of 2000, Price endured a series of assaults. One including Katherine stabbing him in the chest.
With what?
With a knife. Again, he kicked her out.
He survived the chest stabbing and was like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. On the 29th of February, he took out a restraining order against her, wanting to keep her away from him and his children. Price even stated to his co-workers that very day, the 29th of February, that if he did not come into work the next day, then Katherine killed him.
Wow.
His friends obviously begged him, and his co-workers begged him not to go home, but he was worried for the safety of his children.
No shit.
When Price got home, Katherine wasn't there, but she was at some point because she sent his children off to a sleepover. Price went about his business, spending time with his neighbors. Then he went back home and to bed around 11 p.m. Katherine arrived while he was sleeping. She watched TV for a few minutes, then took a shower. Afterwards, she woke Price up and they had sex. And he fell asleep afterwards.
This is so stupid. Like, he's fearing for his own kids.
All
right, well, she sent them fucking to have a sleepover. I'm going to just chill and eat chips tonight and have some burgers. Oh, and I'll fall asleep. Oh, I'm not even going to wake up. He had to have woken up some bitches in his shower.
No, he didn't wake up, but in all...
She stirs him awake. Hey, want to have sex?
Well...
Wouldn't that be the most scary thing?
Well, who's to say that it wasn't rape? This is Katherine's recounting of the story. Because we will learn that Price won't be able to tell his side of the story. So who's to say that he did not... If A, they even had sex, or B, that she raped him. Maybe it wasn't consensual at all.
I'm ruining... Oh, spoiler alert. I should just keep my mouth shut and just swear more.
A neighbor was concerned the next day when she saw Price's car still in the driveway. He also did not report for work. His boss sent a coworker to see what's the matter at his house. The neighbor and the worker tried knocking on his bedroom window. Then they noticed blood on the front door.
Oh my God.
So they called the police, who arrived on scene at 8 a.m. Police busted in through the back door. They discovered Katherine, who was comatose after taking pills. They also found Price's body.
Oh, Jesus.
Price was stabbed with a butcher knife while sleeping. The blood evidence revealed that he woke up and tried to turn on his light before attempting to escape. Katherine chased him through the house, but he did make it to the front door. He was either pulled back inside or stumbled back. He died in the hallway where he bled out. She then went to an ATM and withdrew $1,000 out of his account. When they performed Price's autopsy, it was revealed that he suffered at least 37 stab wounds in the front and back of his body, many of these hitting his vital organs.
Jesus.
A few hours after his death, Katherine skinned Price with such great precision that she was able to remove the entire skin off of his body, including the ears, face, scalp, and neck. It was...
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
It was described as a macabre suit. And then she hung this skin on a meat hook.
Who has meat hooks?
Not to laugh, but that is I feel like a legitimate question. She decapitated him and cooked part of his body, serving the meat with pumpkin, zucchini, cabbage, squash, baked potatoes, and gravy. She had place settings at the table with both of his children's names on it, as if she was ready to serve his body parts to his own children.
Oh my God, this is fucking crazy.
They did find a third meal thrown on the back lawn, but the reasons for this have always remained unknown. She claims to have no memory of the crime. There has been speculation that she tried to eat some and could not, and so she threw the plate out into the yard. The police discovered Price's head in a pot with vegetables. They were able to determine by the temperature of the pot that the cooking of the head took place in the early morning. Katherine then arranged Price's skin to look like he was sitting and had his left arm draped around a soft drink bottle, and then his legs were crossed.
Oh my God.
There was a note that Katherine had left on a photograph of Price. There was blood and small pieces of flesh on this note. It was very poorly written, but it said, I will first read it how it's written, and then I'll read it with how I'm sure she intended it. So it said, time got you back, Jonathan, for rapping my doubter. You too, Beck, for Ross, for Little John. Now play with Little John's Dick John Price. So how
What a poet.
So, and again, she never learned how to read or write. So she, I'm assuming, meant it. Time to get you back, John, for raping my daughter. U2 Beck, who is Price's daughter, for Ross, which I'm assuming was her other son. And maybe she was accusing Beck of raping Ross. For Little John, his son. Now play with Little John's dick, John Price. So I think she was accusing... I don't think it ever happened, but she was accusing John of raping her daughter.
Jesus.
So Katherine initially pled guilty to manslaughter, but that was rejected. She was arraigned on February 2nd, 2001 on a murder charge. She pleaded not guilty. Her trial was rescheduled due to her counsel's illness to October 15th, 2001, shortly after 9/11. There were 60 jury prospects. The judge, Justice Barry O'Keefe, offered them to be excused due to the graphic nature of the photographic evidence. 5 people accepted this offer. When the witnesses list was revealed, several more prospects withdrew, which the jury was impaneled, which means a jury was assigned. The next morning, Katherine's attorney spoke to the judge. Katherine had changed her plea to guilty. So the jury was dismissed.
Oh, good for them.
Justice Barry O'Keefe ordered a psychiatric assessment overnight to be determined if Katherine understood the consequences of her guilty plea and if she was fit to make that plea. Katherine's attorney was going to defend her by claiming dissociation and amnesia. This claim was supported by most of the psychiatrists, though they did deem her sane to make that decision. Katherine has never given a reason for her actions and still refuses to take responsibility. Her attorney tried having her excused from her hearings so that she didn't have to hear the nature of her crime, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
That's fucking ridiculous.
But that was denied.
Thank goodness.
When Dr. Timothy Lyons testified and described the skinning and decapitation, Katherine became hysterical and had to be sedated, which take it for what you will, if it was genuine or an act. On the 8th of November, Justice O'Keefe noted the nature of the crime and Katherine's lack of remorse. He sentenced her to life in prison and refused to fix a non-parole period, stating that she would never be released. That is the first time that's ever happened in Australia. So usually you have, like we have it here and the UK has it where you get life imprisonment, must serve a minimum of 25 years or whatever it may be. Or you're eligible for parole. Even it could keep getting denied, but you're eligible for parole at 25 years. He would not even allow a date to be eligible for parole. In 2006, Katherine appealed her sentence, claiming that her penalty of life in jail with no parole was too severe for the killing.
Are you fucking kidding me?
They denied her appeal, stating it was an appalling crime beyond contemplation in a civilized society.
Yeah, so fuck you. Stay in your cell.
Throw away the key. Many exes and family members came forward in the trial confirming the violence she was capable of. There were many red flags starting from her youth that indicated she would be capable of something like this. However, people sadly got used to her violent behavior and just chalked it up to how Katherine was. And I just find it very interesting. She has David, and John. But so I thought it was important to cover her previous 3 relationships just to give some backstory of who she was and what led her to murdering John Price. To touch on what I said earlier about the her mother's sharing her distaste for sex and men, I feel like that was the foundation, like this setting, the cement sealing, that was sealing the future for Katherine with her outlook on men.
Again, another fucking killer with a fucked up fucking parent. Mm-hmm. 2 fucked up parents.
Yeah, so
it's parents. They fuck up their kids and turn into psychopaths.
It's true. And,
it's got to be like 90% of the time.
Oh,
that's got to be the reason.
Yeah. You should really watch Mindhunter.
I should really watch a lot of stuff.
Mindhunter being one of them.
Well, we're going to watch A Mighty Wind tonight.
For those that need some movie recommendations, strongly recommend this. This is Spinal Tap and Waiting for Guffman. So tonight we're doing Mighty Wind, and then we'll get him Best in Show tomorrow.
Yeah. And They're similar to true crime, as in they're documentary-esque.
So it's my heart aches for John Price and his family. Like, that is absolutely horrendous to have.
Yeah.
It's like, just to have such a what's the word? A demeaning presentation of his death, like, of his body. Like, to just, obviously it's bad enough to just be killed, but then to be skinned and posed and then to have these potentially false allegations written on a picture of yourself, you know, like, it's just like such a demeaning thing. I can't help but wonder if that's what led to Catherine's view on men. She was very abusive towards men, and obviously, maybe for lack of a better term, she went for vulnerable and potentially, like, air quotes, weaker men, weaker in her eyes probably, so they would be easier to manipulate.
Yeah.
And they were good men because they all kept coming back to try and keep the dynamic of the families together.
Yeah, that did seem consistent.
So that is the story of Katherine Knight, who murdered John Price.
It's interesting. It was just one murder, but my goodness, that was a long story of craziness.
It definitely... And I think it's an important one to tell because there's so many stories, and one murder, but so much crime.
Yeah.
She was a domestic abuser.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I feel like needs to be more storytelling on cases of men who are domestically abused.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I thought this one was an important one to tell, to bring awareness to that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I wonder if hers, like, when was she arrested?
She was arrested in the year 2000, and her trial was in 2001.
I wonder if there's been movies or anything since then that have, like, domestic abuse. Like, we've seen that in, like, Gone Girl, like, female domestic abuse towards a male.
But it's usually more of
or like a basic, it's more like of a seduction or a blackmail sort of thing. Yeah,
it's a psychological manipulation, an emotional abuse. This was, in every relationship, she had a physical abuse.
I wonder if there's ever anything been done. I'm sure there has been. Of like a woman just beating the shit out of her fucking husband. The husband keeps coming back. There was definitely psychological abuse in there. The fact that she was able to keep bringing these guys back.
Yeah. And again, I feel like maybe that was her tactic, having children with these men. Yeah. So they would have something to come back for.
They must have felt safest when she was like third trimester pregnant.
No kidding.
When she's just waddling around, can't get anywhere.
But she was very pregnant when she attacked David Kellett with the frying pan.
Well, and that's tough too, right? A pregnant woman coming at you, It's not like you can just easily knock her over.
Yeah, or just push, you know. But
so it's like she's untouchable.
We're gonna get ready to wrap up because it was a longer episode today, but do you have any final thoughts?
Well, she's a horrible person, and I'm glad she's in jail.
All right.
Yeah, I don't like her.
No.
I don't like anyone we talk about.
We won't be joining
she
her.
Sucked.
We won't be joining her fan club.
Oh, she's got to have a fan club, eh? Yeah. Of a bunch of man haters, bunch of assholes.
All right. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Go home, have like a toaster strudel, kiss your your partner,
your spouse.
If you're alone.
Kiss your pet if you don't have a pet.
High five a mirror. Don't hurt each other.
Yes. All right, everyone. Until next time.
See ya.
You can check us out on YouTube at Catam Concoction.
That's CATAM CONCOCTION.
And on Instagram at cast_aghast.
Remember, there's a silent H.